as you noted, it is tedious work for educators and for families to try to solve this problem, right? I can just imagine how many hours you must have spent a day as an educator emailing, calling, texting, trying to figure out why one of your children wasn't in school that day, what's going on. Was it a classwork issue? Was it a family issue? How do you work through that? How do you get the student back on track, back in the classroom and back on their assignments? How do you help address the problems at home that the student is having? That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of separate communications. And so I assume that experience informed your desire to want to get into entrepreneurship and develop this AllHere platform to try to address this problem. What does AllHere do to sort of fix this issue that we just talked about?
Yes. Yes. And I love that framing when it comes to talking about chronic absences, because, there's so much innovation in the education field, but also the main thing has to be kept the main thing. And that is, it is very difficult to teach the child who is not physically present. And I think that what was such a powerful motivator for me was seeing, yes, there was definitely issues on the order of kind of hours and days in terms of finding the time to fit and an effective attendance intervention approach to my own practice as an educator, but when you look around how this issue impacts teachers nationally, it's just kind of crazy. Pre-COVID, about 1 in 13 kids, about 13, were considered chronically absent. And for folks who may not have as much experience with that term, it's missing 1 or more months of school for any reason. During COVID, that has become kind of one of the rallying cries for needing to think critically about what post-COVID recovery looks like. Because one, chronic absenteeism rates nationally have only gotten worse. And two, I think there's never been this level of awareness around about the relationship between chronic absenteeism and a student outcomes. So some examples of this: the Biden administration put out some thought leadership around the correlation between absenteeism scores and NAEP scores, and it's a significant issue for schools that not only requires a kind of all hands on deck approach, but also approaches that are positive, not punitive, and also scalable. And that's where AllHere comes in. So much of those effective interventions or kind of strategies to support families and kids who are experiencing issues with a chronic absence involve face-to-face methods of comms, right? So like, how do we pull people into the same room at the same time to have a very effective conversation around not only how their child is doing in school, but also absences. And in the event when there are issues that are keeping students out of the classroom, knowing on the order of the individual child, right? Like, what is keeping them out of class, and what is the best way to resolve that, to make sure that they can be fully present each and every day. And what we found is that although there are kind of well-established tracks for those kinds of interventions, they're very hard to scale. However, text messages can help with this. What we learned early on in our R&D at AllHere, still when we were being incubated out of the Harvard Innovation Labs, was that people tend to be more responsive to texting than emails or other types of comms. So what we created way back when was an AI chatbot to be able to proactively but also reactively support parents 24/7 via automated two-way text. So proactively sending absence focus as well as student learning focused nudges to ensure that each family and each child receives the right support at the right time. It's in their language of choice when it comes to parents. And the chatbot messages give parents insight into their child's progress and create plenty of kind of relational focus opportunities for parents to share needs. So it creates this thread that feels rigorous, warm, but also efficient when it comes to triaging issues that families and kids may be facing and connecting them to the right resource over, all over SMS text.